Hey everybody, welcome to Geek Rant. It's Greg here with Sarah and Toby, and tonight we're going to be talking about Season 4, Part 2, Episodes 8 and 9 of Stranger Things. Coming up tonight on Geek Rant.
And I wish they'd get rid of that fringe. It's so annoying.
It's sort of like, weren't they?
Mutant bats.
There's a bit of sexual frustration.
Dungeons and Dragons-y, isn't it? You know.
Yeah.
Seriously, that's the one thing you've got to say about that moment.
Has got one of those creature things on top of him, hasn't he? He's lying on the floor.
Yeah. Bent like a pretzel.
He's like, "You assholes!"
I was like, what the fuck is going on? Like, it's like, have I taken some sort of drug?
Yeah.
I paused it, right? And I looked and it said 30 minutes left of show.
A bit like Superman turning the world back.
Okay, so I think we were all really excited about the prospect of this next part of the series.
Very much so.
We had a really good review of this a few weeks ago, and it's been one of the best TV programs that we've seen this year.
It really has.
So it's definitely been something we've been dying to see, and it's nicely released it all together. You know, the 2 episodes. They were obviously quite long episodes, weren't they?
Yeah.
First one was an hour and a bit, and then we had a 2 hour,
2.5 hours of the second one. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like watching a couple of films, wasn't it? Really,
basically.
So there's plenty to talk about, and I know that Sarah has been dying to give us a bit of a fill in on the storyline, and Toby and I will chime in when we can.
Okay,
take away, Sarah.
So, obviously, from last time, I just couldn't take my eyes off the show. I thought it was the best series so far, and it's rare that you can say that about a program. I think you know, you often get the first and second series are amazing and then kind of not so good and then good again, but season 4 has been amazing. And at the end of episode 7, Nancy is taken by Vecna in the mind hold.
Yeah.
And you see her go into the pool where her friend had died. And you think, God, what is going to happen to Nancy?
Yeah.
But it's quite good because Vecna shows her what he's planning. He's got 3 gates open and he needs one more gate to be able to turn the upside down into the real world. And the future of Hawkins is precarious, and he wants Nancy to go and tell 11. He says, go and tell 11 what I've shown you.
Yeah.
So Nancy gets
they kind of figured it out, didn't they? Partly from the chiming of the clock. It was always at 4 o'clock, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And I thought, well, that's a bit of a loose, sort of thing for them to pick up on, but but they did, didn't they? They worked out 4 chimes. Perhaps there's 4 people, which will make 4 gates.
Yeah. So they basically realise that someone else needs to die for this 4th gate to open, and they come up with a plan. So in this 8th episode, they're planning. It's all about planning how they're going to get Vecna. And they decide, Max says, look, I can do it. I'll go back in and I can hide away in a happy memory. And then you kill him. You go to his real life body in the upside down and kill him while he's occupied with me. And it sounds like quite a good idea.
Yeah. And I think at that point, it's quite clever because it plays on the nostalgia of the earlier series as well. By drawing us back into all those memories. And when you reinforce the memories of the older episodes, it gives you more of a connection with the series and the characters. And it's quite a good ploy to use. And that memory that she talks about, that good memories, well, we find out later, but it's to do with one of the other characters. So carry on.
Yeah, I like the way that they give every character the opportunity to kind of take part and add their little bit to it. Dustin's like, it's going to be like sleeping Dracula in his coffin when we go in there and take him out. And I just think they've all got great attributes, and they're all a team, and you're really gunning for them. And you think, God, I hope this really works, but you wonder what they're going to come up against.
The thing with it is, it's become a little bit like a big Avengers thing, where there's a lot of characters now.
Yeah.
And they've all got to have a little bit to do, haven't they? And it's particularly tricky because a couple of them, I feel, have sort of slipped out of the reckoning a bit. You know, Mike, who was quite important in the first couple of series, it doesn't seem to be as important in this one. He's just supporting 11, isn't he? You know, and they have got a lot of characters to try and fulfill, but I thought they brought it together quite well. You know, how they dealt with the whole coming together to attack all kind of at the same time, you know.
So meanwhile, you've got 11 still in the underground
facility.
What would you call it? Facility where she's learning about her skills, and she drops in on her friends. She's told, your friends are in great danger, you need to get stronger before you can go and help them. And she drops in on her friends mentally, and she can see they're coming up with this idea, but she knows that they won't be successful without her help. So she thinks back to times, because one thing I was really worried about was that this was just going to be about her going and sticking her hand out and killing Vecna. I'm really glad they came up with a different way for her to support be the hero.
I said the same thing, didn't I, in our last review? I was a bit concerned about it just being about her, you know, sort of doing it. And I mean, obviously, when she's in the facility, she has a bit of a showdown with Papa, doesn't she?
Yes.
You know, and he ends up...
That's what this episode's called, Papa.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And, you know, the other doctor says she should go and she should do it, and they have a bit of a wrangling, don't they? And then suddenly the other doctor's been got hold of, and we don't see him again, Paul Reiser. That's it. That's it. We don't see him anymore. So I wondered, is he dead? Is he got killed?
I don't know. Does the base blow up? I can't remember now.
No.
That
was the doctor.
Yeah.
But you think she might go back for him. So she gets drugged by Papa because he's trying to stay to train her up more, to make her stronger. She
wants to keep him. He wants to keep him there. He wants to keep her there.
Yes.
Which is where the opposition happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
like, I want to go and help my friends.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, you need to be stronger. He drugs her, he collars her, and then the military turn up.
Yeah.
And she can't really defend herself that well because she's drugged up.
Yeah.
Luckily, in come Mike and the friends to help her distract the helicopter, because he was literally about to take her out.
Yeah.
And then she regains some of her consciousness and brings down the helicopter. And they're like, get in the pizza van, and they drive off.
I thought that bit was quite lucky that all of the military's vehicles were all parked nicely together for the helicopter to land on top and destroy all the vehicles.
Yeah.
So they couldn't follow them at all.
Yeah, 11 uses her power there, doesn't she? So the drug hasn't really, you know,
it's kind of worn off.
It's worn off.
I think the thing got damaged, didn't it, on her neck, and so she was able to use her power again.
Well, it wasn't actually switched on.
I don't think it was actually stopping her power. I think he could just put an electric shock through it and stop them from using their power in that moment.
Oh,
so I don't think it was a repressor of the power. It was just a torture device.
I thought it was a bit like one of those things that had in
X-Men. No. They don't. Yeah, they don't have that technology. I don't think. I don't think they could justify how they'd be able to do that, but I think there's a point where the Papa gets gunned down by the sniper.
That's right.
And
he's carrying her away, isn't he? He's carrying her away, and she gets
and he gets killed, but he's still able to talk to her for a moment.
Yeah.
Well, he's had a high caliber bullet blasted through his chest, which I thought was a bit weird that he should be able to do that. But
that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you know, in Star Wars, they get a lightsaber put through them, and they still up and about and running around. So it don't really matter, does it anymore?
No kidding. Oh my god.
Yeah.
And then you've obviously got these three elements. You've got the guys in the pizza van, you've got the guys in Hawkins, but then you've got the guys in Russia.
Yes.
So
Yes.
Joy has just saved Hopper, and they're coming together, and they're trying to get out of there. They get out of the prison. They try and persuade the pilot.
Yuri. I think it's Yuri, isn't it?
Yeah.
The other guy. Yeah, they try and persuade Yuri to
fly him out.
Yeah.
He's being sneaky, and he's pretending he can't fix the helicopter.
Yeah.
And then they realize, because as they come out of the prison, there was this funny, like hazy stuff swirling around, and they were looking at what's that, and they saw all of these gorgons. They were all like suspended in a bit like aliens, like suspended in these things.
Yeah.
And
it was a science lab, wasn't it, where they were experimenting on them, growing them and manipulating them. A bit like Frankenstein.
They walk through this to get out, and then they find the grate in the ground, and they go through it, and they come out. But they're trying for quite a long time, and then they have a bit of a sentimental moment where she's like, "We had a funeral for you," and all that. And it was, it's a bit
and it's kind of sparked up their relationship, hasn't it? I think they've realized that they do love each other. Before it was a bit sort of like, weren't they? And now they're definitely, coming together, aren't they? And Hopper and Joyce.
I think there's definitely a shift in the way that the last 2 episodes were told, because in the first 7 episodes of this season, it was very action, it was very gritty, it was hardcore, and then it's been a bit softer in the last 2 episodes, and I didn't want that to happen. I know that sounds really heartless, but I wanted it to stay gritty. I wanted it to be quite firm with its finish, and I feel like they had a few moments where they padded it out a little bit with a bit of,
well, I guess we'll
I think
talk
episode
about
8 was a little bit like that.
So anyway, they escape through the tunnel, similar to like Shawshank Redemption, when he climbs through and he gets out into freedom. And they go, the plane's been demolished that they came in, so they're looking for the helicopter. He has a helicopter, and they're trying to fix it. So that's them. So then it flips back to the guys in Hawkins. They're trying to get together a load of equipment. They're like, right, we need to put this plan into action. We need to go and get some sawn off shotguns and all those sorts of things. And they go down to a
typical American hardware store, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which is full of guns.
Yeah, the gun store.
The gun store.
They get given guns like,
I think
don't worry, we're not worried. You just go off and take the guns.
It was funny because there were a lot of people in there, wasn't there?
It was unusually busy, wasn't it?
It was.
And then they see the boy, don't they? The boy, the football star.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I can't remember if that's in the 8th episode or if that's in the 9th episode, because I watched it all together and I feel like it's kind of melded together.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I know what you mean.
It goes into the episode 9.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But so that kind of summarizes episode 8.
Yeah.
Episode 9, you've got Joyce and Hopper, and there's a bit of sexual frustration and tense longing between them, and they're changing out of their clothes, they're getting ready to travel, and then they're having an epiphany. Well, hang on a minute, what if we go and try and kill some of the upside down animals that are in the prison? That might have an effect on Vecna to weaken him.
That's right. They've talked to someone, don't they, on the phone, who's in an American woman. I don't know if she was CIA or whatever. Yeah. But she says, there's danger, isn't there, in Hawkins, and that makes them think, how can we help them, even though we're in Russia? They're all linked together, aren't they? And there's
they say hive mind.
Yeah, it's
a little bit tenuous, but it's fine. When I was watching it, it's fine. I went with it. But you reflect, and they're kind of how do we bring them into the main storyline? We can't with this idea.
Yeah. But at least they didn't have them sort of just suddenly turning up in America the next.
That's true.
An hour later. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some other stories are terrible like that, and they just. Oh no, we're in Russia. Actually, thinking about it, we're in Russia, so we've got to find a way to be part of this.
So in California, Eleven's thinking, how can we go and help them? How we can't get flights. Then she thinks, right, I'm gonna piggyback off the back of this situation, and that's what this episode's called, piggyback. And she's like, have you got a load of salt? Have you got a load of water and salt? And if I can go in while Vecna has got Max like a hostage in her mind, I can get in there as well and protect her and help her. So that's her plan. She's going to let them follow through with their plan, and she's going to go in there and try and protect Max in her mind.
And this harks back to some of the other scenes we've seen in the other series. Where they go into this nether world where they have that black water on the black floor. It looks like oil. Yeah, it's just water on a black floor, and then they have some of the furniture from the location to give you a bit of sense of where you are, and then you see the characters, and she's able to sort of jump into their mental consciousness, subconsciousness, and watch what's just going on and try and influence them.
And I like the way they shift between the different California, back to Hawkins, back to Russia. They give you a segment of each moment in time. It's all happening at the same time. Yeah. You go down to the Creole house where they've gone in. So you've got a group of the kids that have gone into the Upside Down to go to the house and down, and then you've got another group of kids that are, so you've got obviously Max, who's in the real world, gone to the Creole house
with Lucas and his sister
be taken over by Vecna. And you've got the others in the Upside Down who are waiting so that they can take Vecna out. So it's all coordinated. They've got all these phases that they're trying to fulfill.
And if that was all left to be done without any interference, it would have gone fine. But of course, there's a spanner in the works.
Yeah. So Erica is outside flashing her light, and she's spotted by a local, and he then supposedly tells Jason, the jock, or one of the jock friends, that there's something suspicious going on at the murder house. So they're still there. Jason's looking pretty terrible by this point, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's shooting out. He's practicing his gun shooting.
Yeah.
He wants revenge. He can't figure out what he's seen in the water earlier on in the season. No. It really fucked him up because
he's traumatized.
Yeah, he saw his mate go up and all his bones break.
Yeah.
He saw the aftermath of that. He thinks that there's a curse, and he thinks that
Eddie.
I can't believe I keep forgetting Eddie's name because he's so brilliant. He thinks Eddie is like possessed, and he's like doing some sort of witchcraft on them. That's like a cult. Yeah. Anyway, so he's got his guns. He comes down. So they're everything's going quite smoothly. You think, oh, this is going quite well. You've got Erica. She's doing her flashlight. She's saying, yeah, we're ready. She's communicating with them in the Upside Down. They're waiting to create a diversion to get all the bats to move away from the house so that they can get into Vecna. The bats, I call them bats, they're not really bats. They are protecting Vecna.
They look like bats, don't they?
Yeah.
Mutant bats.
Justin and Eddie are obviously they're putting a load of barriers up on one of the trailers so that they can take shelter in there, so that when they draw the bats away, they can get in there and be safe. However, that doesn't necessarily quite happen. But so you have there's a lot going on, so it's difficult to.
Oh God, yeah, it is. Like I said,
no, you're doing fine. There's a lot going on.
There is.
Yeah, at this
each
point,
one's got to have their own storyline, haven't they? Basically.
Yeah.
Yes, and at this point in the Upside Down, Eddie and Dustin get the music going to get the.
Yeah, he grabs a guitar, doesn't he? From one of the things, gets some amps, and he was then out playing guitar to really sort of attract them.
That was really cool.
I thought that was a nice bit.
Yeah, they're the two least likely heroes, aren't they? And he does say that we look like heroes.
Yeah, it's a setup, isn't it? I mean, pure and simple, but it's good.
And he feels guilty that he didn't help and protect the first girl that died. And he'd kind of run away scared. He felt like he could have maybe helped her.
Yeah.
But so they fire up the guitar. bit of Metallica,
Yeah.
and they're extracting the mutant.
I also like how they made them up some weapon. You know, they had like a spear. They made themselves some spear and like got a bin lid, didn't they, and put some nails in it and stuff. And they were getting themselves all prepared. I liked all that sort of little.
They'd run away.
Dungeons and Dragons-y, isn't it? You know, sort of getting their equipment, getting ready for a fight. You know,
actually the gun shop, so they didn't get any guns, so they had to make their own weapons.
Yeah. Talking about Dungeons and Dragons, there is a little bit in the previous episode, just briefly mentioned, where Will gets out his painting that he's done.
Oh,
and he rolls out the painting, and he's got some of the team on there. They're fighting a dragon in Dungeons and Dragons.
That's right.
And Mike is the leader, and this is giving Mike agency for later in the episode that we will come to.
Yeah.
Well,
there's some sentimental moments as well, isn't there? Because Will has obviously got feelings for Mike.
Yeah.
But I didn't think he was very good at acting.
No, I don't think
I thought his acting was shite.
I have to agree with you. I thought he's been the worst, one of the worst actors.
He's been a bit awkward, isn't he? But I just wonder if he's just trying to play an awkward gay boy, you know.
Yeah, but that's okay. That's okay. But he just isn't acting it very well, is he? But
I agree with you.
Going back to the story, it's not believable. Anyway, so they're distracting the bats, and that's a great scene. I love that. They're coming in through the vents, and then they shove that thing up, and
very good.
And then anyway, so Nancy, Robin, and Steve, they go into the house because the bats are gone.
Yeah.
And the tentacles grab hold of them, and you're thinking they're never going to be able to do this. Like, I thought that his mind was somewhere else, and so he was unprotected, but clearly not.
Yeah.
So then, well, they're really scuppered. Let's see what happens.
That was a bit of an error, wasn't it? They didn't think that one carefully.
Yeah, but they didn't. But you wouldn't.
They didn't know what they were facing, did they?
Yeah, they just kind of had a plan, and they.
And I suppose they were in the previous part. They had gone into that. I know they got attacked by those bats, but they had ridden about on the bikes and got about a bit. So I suppose they thought they could sneak through. Yeah.
So. I mean, it's a very epic moment, isn't it? When Eddie sacrifices himself and you wonder, is he going to survive? Is he going to die? Dustin's, he's such a sweetie, and he's like...
Well, Dustin climbs back through, doesn't he? He lets Dustin climb back through, and then he cuts the thing, the rope that's hanging between the two worlds. He cuts it, doesn't he? And then he runs outside and gets on a bike, doesn't he, and starts cycling off to attract
he leads them off, doesn't he,
to lead them away, but they attack him, don't they?
I think he's also thinking that they might get through the hole as well. I think Eddie was always destined to face this situation because he wasn't part of the core group, was he?
No.
So
he was a bit more expendable in some ways, wasn't he?
Definitely.
Yeah. And also, it becomes one of those characters that everybody's like, oh, poor old Eddie, he was a good character, and now he's gone,
Take him or leave him in my mind. I don't think he fitted. I've said this before. I don't think he fitted into their dynamic. So I knew he was going to die.
No, I know what you mean. He was very much an outsider of it, wasn't he? But there was a nice little bit between him and Dustin in the end there, where they're having to sort of fight together.
I felt that their relationship was a bit forced, actually, for the whole last couple of episodes. They just seemed to be overly silly at times. I just didn't feel it was the same brotherly type situation as it was between him and the other babysitter.
I can see what you're saying. Yeah, I can...
That's how I felt it was. Anyway.
I know what you mean. So, Dustin falls back through into the upside down, and he injures himself, and he's struggling to get out there. And
that's right.
Eddie had cycled for ages, and then when Dustin comes out, he's only like a few meters away. But that was a bit of Ian was like, oh, that, so he cycled for like half an hour, and look, Dustin just strolled over there. And I was like, seriously, that's the one thing you've got to say about that moment. Like, they're a monster bat.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
they've climbed through into a dimensional gate.
Worried about the perspective of how far he's traveled.
But he could have, I guess he could have ridden in the circle. But I think that ultimately, when there's so much going on, there are little inconsistencies like this pop up. So it's tricky.
Well, like Steve got the same sort of beating with those bats, and he's absolutely fine. Like he got bitten and bitten.
He did, and we thought that something might come of that, didn't we? We
thought
did.
And nothing.
It looked a bit infected.
No, he was perfectly fine after that, wasn't he?
Yeah, and like Hopper had his ankle broken when he got out of that.
That's true. Yeah, he was getting out of the chains, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yanking his foot out. Yeah.
So
this is Hollywood, isn't it? You don't have injuries for
overlook these injuries.
Yeah. So then you go over to Max in the dream again, and she starts thinking about her good dream so that she can get away from Vecna.
Yeah.
And that works for time, doesn't it?
Yeah, the snowball of 1984 when she shares her first kiss with Lucas.
Yeah.
And that was in season 2. And she's kind of safe for a while in that dream.
Yes.
But Vecna's starting to come in because things are starting to drip.
Well, they use the lights, don't they? And she thinks, the light's dying. So she then sits down and tries to open up and trying to bring him out, and then there's that bit where Lucas sort of turns on her, doesn't he? And it's like,
was earlier. Yeah.
That's her going into it, isn't it? That's her getting sucked in by Vecna.
Yeah.
He embodies people, doesn't he?
Yeah.
So 11's obviously in the salt water, and she's able to talk to the boys while she's in the dream, tell them what's going on, and she's trying to find Max. She goes into a younger dream when she's a lot younger, and then she finally finds her at the snowball. And then there's a big fight between Vecna and 11. Initially, 11's really powerful and throwing Vecna all around, and then Vecna turns it round and takes complete control of her.
Yeah, she took him by surprise, didn't she? I think that was why she was able to get him at first, because he was concentrated on Max, wasn't he? And then suddenly she grabs him, doesn't she? And but she made the classic sort of Goody mistake, when she threw him and smashed him. When he started to come back out, don't let the baddie have any breath, don't let him come back at you, for God's sake. I would have been like, right, quick, throw some more stuff at him and kill him, and she was just like standing there waiting, and we knew what was going to happen, didn't we? We knew he was going to turn the tables and beat her up. But that's just my it's always the same. It's like that in Star Trek. They don't ever fire first on the baddie. There's a ship coming to destroy them, but they always just put your shields up and defend.
Meanwhile, Lucas is in the house and he gets beaten up by Jason pretty brutally. And Jason stamps on the headphones as this fight. You're like, oh my God, speak up, Lucas. Speak.
I know that would have kept Kate Bush at number 1 for another couple of weeks if they played her again.
She does appear in it a bit.
So Jason's convinced that Lucas is into some sort of sadistic ritual, something weird's going on. And there's that fight.
He totally freaked out, wasn't he? He was totally freaked. Like
he's lost. Freaked
out.
Totally.
Yeah. Then it goes back to 11 having this fight with Vecna. Vecna's seems so much more powerful. He takes them over to his lair. Pins 11 up against the door. That
was one thing I was trying to get straight in my mind. That lair thing, that's in the Upside Down, is it? Or is it?
Yeah.
There seems to be lots of different places. Do you know what I mean? Because his actual body is in the Upside Down in the attic. Where he's fighting them, that's in Max's dream or something, or Max's thoughts, is it? Where he's fighting 11.
Yeah, that's in
Max's dream, right? Okay, just see what I mean. I was just trying to get my head around.
It is a little
How many different layers are there in this thing? Do you know what I mean?
It's fluid. I think you can kind of take what you want from it. But when you take Blair, that's the house in the Upside Down. Say, would you?
It's all red, isn't it? It's all
yeah.
it's all red, and it's kind of like a different scape, because his body's in the Upside Down, in the attic, in the house, and that's where the other guys are that start throwing those things at him.
Oh yeah.
So I was like, what is that? It must be like a special thing that he could go to, especially, you know. And
then have this whole dialogue again where Vecna's talking about what happened to him after 11 banished him, and the fact that he became an explorer in the Upside Down.
Yeah, because 11 tries to distract him, doesn't she, by saying, "Oh, Papa's died."
Yeah.
You know, he was the monster. He was the real. You're not a monster. He's the real monster. He turned you into this, and he sort of comes up and says, "No, it was you that turned me into this." You know, and then you see all the sort of story of that. You know.
Yeah.
11's always had a weak side to her, isn't she? In that sense that her confidence just goes very quickly. You know, this whole season we've seen 11 with a very kind of low self-esteem, being bullied. And I think that this last scene really kind of it draws upon that, and she easily succumbs to him, and she needs to dig deep to be able to fight back.
Yes,
definitely. He goes into this world, the Upside Down, and it's unspoiled by mankind, and he's talking about, you know, how he comes across the Mind Flayer and how he realizes his potential to transcend from his human form. And he's like almost born again, isn't he, in this world? And it's basically a revelation for 11, because she's realizing that everything that's happened to them in the previous seasons, it was all him. And Mind Flayer and, you know, all those different things they fought against were actually just him in different forms.
But didn't we already know that? There wasn't that sort of quite sort of explained.
It wasn't quite outlined. I don't think it was quite outlined like he did at the end there.
Right.
I think it really sort of tied it all together.
Right. That's
what they were doing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'd assumed. I'd assumed it was all down to him, that he was like the head honcho that was sending all these things to try and kill them, you know, in the previous series. But I suppose it's just confirming that, isn't it?
Yeah. And so then he turns to Max and he starts, and then you see her bones snapping in the real world, and you think, oh God.
I know.
He does the hand, doesn't he? Does the hand over her. And she lifts up.
You're right.
And then they do one arm first, and you're thinking 11's going to intervene. 11's going to intervene, and then one of her legs breaks. And then you think 11's going to intervene. 11's going to intervene, and then another leg breaks. And at that point, you're thinking, "Damn,
she's dead."
How?
Yeah, all legs, both arms gone. Yeah. You're thinking, and then her eyes start bleeding. And you think, oh my God, when they said there's going to be a body count, Max was one of them. And I'm like thinking, oh God.
Yeah.
So back in California, 11 is pulled from the freezer by Mike. Does she try and keep her alive at that? Does he pull her out? And then she tries to tell Max that she's.
No, what happens is they pull her out of the water, don't they? And then Mike reminds Mike, you are the heart. You've got to help her. And so he starts talking to her and saying, you know, that he loves her.
He says he loves her for the first time.
That she's the special one, and that he was always worried, blah blah blah. And in the thing, she's then suddenly realizing, I am the one, you know, and that's where she saves Max.
Yes, but her bones have snapped.
That
is true.
But
there was a weird cut there. There was a bit where it sort of just went black, and then suddenly you saw him going and I was like, they didn't do that bit very well.
Was it supposed to be the end of an episode at that point or something?
No, that was this big 2-hour long episode. You know?
No, I know. But it felt
maybe it was originally a cut, but it was it was like the screen went black. I remember the screen went black, and I was like, and then suddenly he was flying, and she was standing there doing her thing again, and it was like, hang on, I didn't do that very well. That was,
for me, I wonder
very well.
I wonder whether that's because at that point they had an end to Vecna, and they finished the series, and that was it. But now everybody wants season 5.
Do you know what? I'm really interested you said that, because that's exactly what I was thinking about the whole thing.
Yeah,
I'd heard rumors that this was the end. This was going to be the end. And when we got to the end of it, I was like, hang on, they've just bloody,
Well, I have to say, the last half an hour, it was almost like you didn't need, it was just pussy.
No, I know.
It was like that, like at the end of every episode of like Grey's Anatomy, you get like a 30 second.
Yeah, I thought that as well.
That's what the last half an hour of this episode was like. But anyway, there's a really cool bit with Hopper gathering up the creatures that they can flay them with the
it's all just at the point, isn't it, where Vecna's he's got 11, he's saying all your friends
the kids
are in
all
trouble. You go around all the different people, don't you? And they're all being, and Hopper has got one of those creature things on top of him, he's lying on the floor, and one of those horrible face flaily things is on top of him.
Demigorgs, whatever they're called.
And just as she pushes him away, Joyce comes in with a sort of cattle prod type thing, and shocks him. It's but then, like you say, then there's a bit where Hopper jumps up. They run into this little arena bit, don't they? And he tries to barricade himself, but the big creatures come and they grab the gates off. But then overhead, you see,
he comes in.
My favourite character in this series, Murray.
He's great.
He's really
good. And he's like, "You assholes!" And he flames them all, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
And
he really does.
He does. He flamed them all.
The big one's left. There's one big one that's left, and Hopper has to kill him.
This is good. Yeah, that. But the important bit that you were talking about,
but that was D&D. Yeah,
the important bit with the hive mind thing, and the everyone's connected. When he flames the thing, then Vecna's suddenly like,
and then all
the things come off.
All the bats drop around. That everything that they hoped, that they were lucky to guess would happen, happened.
Yeah, exactly.
So Max crumples to the ground, bent like a pretzel, and the bats terrorizing Eddie have dropped, and it's all like bloody hell. And they take a moment. Nancy, Steve, and Robin are able to go upstairs to Vecna, and then they start lighting up these bottles of alcohol and throwing them at Vecna.
Molotov cocktails.
Then shooting them. I wish Nancy had shot him in the head. Why didn't she shoot him in the head?
I don't know.
I mean, honestly, with the sawn off shotgun.
If I tell you, if Robin had that gun, she would have done.
Yes, he's brilliant.
Well, I think Toby explained that just a short while ago. Season 5 is now coming, so you can't kill off the main baddie. You've got to kill him. You've got to hurt him bad, but not kill him. So if they'd blown his head off, then that would have been it, wouldn't it?
Very tricky.
I could totally believe that there might be a second version of it where he gets killed. Vecna gets killed. And then that would have been the end of it. But it's been such a sensation this series, isn't it?
It really has
been really popular and really, it's season 5 is going to come.
Another thing that really kind of backs that theory up is they did take a long time at the end, just saying goodbye and meeting up and kind of going over, are you alive, and hugging and kissing and all that. It felt like an ending.
On holiday again. So wanky.
It is, isn't it? It's the worst way to end it.
Like, they should have ended it with something so much more gritty. That had such an excellent season. The last half an hour, I could have just switched it off and been and left Max nearly dying.
That could have been sort of some of that could have been just done in the beginning of the next season, you know, just, you know, they could have carried it on from there.
Just one moment that we haven't quite discussed before the whole wanky bit was Lucas is cradling Max after she's fallen down. Yeah. And she's opened her eyes and she's blind. I can't see, I can't feel anything, I can't see anything. And then she dies. And then
the world cracks.
Gate opens. Full gate opens.
Yes. Yeah. And Hawkins gets totally decimated, doesn't it? These 4 massive cracks come together.
4 places that the deaths all come into the center of Hawkins, and the whole place is destroyed. And 11 is still in Max's mind at this point, and she tries to save her, and she manages to bring her heart back to life. We
don't see that happening though. We see 11. Yeah, but you see 11 sit down next to her and hold it, but then it goes to black again, and we seem to be left with a little gap about what actually happens at that point.
Well, there's no explanation, but then you're left thinking, is she dead or is she not? And then it goes in 2 days later, everyone's smiling and fine and not injured at all. I was like, what the fuck is going on? Like, it's like, have I taken some sort of drug?
It was suddenly everyone was like really happy that the whole place had been ripped apart.
What I didn't like is there was 10 minutes of them in the relief centre. And they started to work behind stalls, handing out clothes and stuff like that.
It's like 2 days later.
What was all that about? That was just so Robin could meet that girl, and it was like that was unnecessary.
But the mum comes out with a teddy bear. Oh, do you want your teddy bear? Oh no, it's okay, I'll give it to someone else. I'm like, what the fuck? Hasn't Max just died? Hasn't Eddie just died? Haven't they all been really injured? Aren't they all?
Well, Max hasn't died, has she? She's in hospital.
No, but she nearly died.
She nearly died, damn right,
shocked. Why are they all laughing about stuff they're donating to the but why are they? What is going on? I was like, Ian, did I fall asleep and miss half an hour?
Maybe they're just relieved to be alive after such an ordeal.
I paused it, right, and I looked, and it said 30 minutes left of show, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like, is there going to be like another uprising of Vecna? Are we going to see something really cool happen here at the end? But no,
I did the same. I looked at it and I thought, what can they fit in 30 minutes?
Exactly.
You know, I was thinking,
why is it, if it's now rounding this season up, why is it going to take 30 minutes if it's going to be some montage? Like, that's normally done in 30 seconds.
It was really painful, wasn't it, that end? It was really painful.
I'm really disappointed that they've done this. It was just so strong and it's so powerful. Like that episode 4 with Max. That is golden stuff. That I was like on the edge of my seat loving it, and then that last half an hour was so disappointing.
I tell you what, we didn't need to see was back at Hopper's house. We didn't need to see any of that. No. That was stupid. We were there for 10 minutes. They were fixing the house, and I'm like, this is anticlimactic. We don't need this.
And it turns out.
All this is like the beginning of the next series.
It is.
They know it's popular. They should be, recording it now. So they could have continued it like almost straight on. Because what happens at the very end, is kind of like, well, it's happening now, isn't it? It's going to happen now.
Well, interestingly, they had originally said that season 5 was going to be shot back to back. Season 4 and 5 are going to be shot back to back, but they didn't do that in the end because of obviously everything that happened. And I wonder whether that last half an hour was meant to be the beginning of the next season.
Oh, maybe.
And that they just put it on there because they've finished all that and they want to start a new story. So they've put that in because in theory, the next one's going to be out in a couple of years. So they're going to be a bit older. So they couldn't use it then. They probably thought.
I don't think it can't be out in the next couple of years, surely. I mean, at the end,
can't wait too much longer because they're going to be so much older, aren't they?
Well, this is it.
After that last half an hour, people are going to lose interest.
I don't think so. I think that the vibe is going to be there, but they're going to set it in 1989, the last season. I've seen some stuff on this, and the brothers are writing it, and it's the final year of their schooling, so they're all going to graduate, and that's what it's going to be set in. The last year of the 80s.
Was I imagining it then? At the end there, it all started going dark. There was stuff falling out the sky.
Yeah, like Hawkins.
Then they walked out to this hill, and they looked down, and the place looked like it was on fire again.
And they were surprised that happened.
So they're still they're going back to school in Hawkins to graduate.
Well, that's what I've heard. Yeah,
but that's crazy.
I know.
It's on fire.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know what is
Vecna's coming for his revenge.
One of the other bits I didn't like in that crappy half an hour was when Eddie's uncle comes to change the image, and Dustin calls him, he was a hero. Like Eddie's uncle, we've seen him for like 10 seconds in one episode. We've got no feelings for the guy.
No.
Why do we need to see a bit where we're making him feel better about his son? Like I thought, shit, there was no feeling towards that guy.
I think they should have. I think they should have finished this off. I think they should have killed Vecna. Okay. And if anything, wait a couple of years before they did another series. They could do another series, but it could be some other storyline. Now
they could have finished the episode on 11 trying to save Max.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah.
At that point, they closed it, and then we're left. Is Max dead?
On a cliffhanger.
What's happened to Vecna? Yeah.
Exactly.
And look, they could have killed Vecna, as you say, but there may have been a very small percentage of him that didn't die.
Yeah.
Very much. You use this trope is used in so many things, like Harry Potter, for instance, when they think Voldemort has been killed. There's something that remains, and he's reincarnated in a sense through that, and that may be his last ditch attempt to take Hawkins.
Another thing wakes up in this upside down world.
Well,
they won't do that. Already things there, weren't there? There was already creatures there that Vecna went and kind of.
But
I didn't
now
quite
that
get
they've
that
tied,
either.
but now they've tied Vecna into all the other ones. They can't have something that's independent of that. It all is of the same mastermind. So by having something separate, I don't think they would do that. So that's part of the reason why they kept it open at the end. But
I just worry it's going to get a bit boring, always having to go and find Vecna again. If he's always just going to keep, it's like, it's just,
yeah.
I think you're right. I think that would have been better if they had they killed him, and there was a dead body there, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then something happened, some little thing came out and inhabited another creature, and that became the new Vecna.
Yeah, and so another thing that really I found annoying was that Max, although she died, they Seven. This is how I feel they should have ended it. Seven brought 11 back to life. Sorry, 11 brought her back to life. Thank you. And 11 brought back to life, and so the 4 gates wouldn't have been opened.
No.
So I would have had on some level some repair to Hawkins.
Yeah. I thought that.
I was a bit pissed off that actually all the earthquakes went through in such a quick amount of time.
Yeah.
When she died, and the Seven's in there using her powers to bring her back. I think they should have stopped that from happening to Hawkins. I don't think Hawkins should have been destroyed like that. I think that they could have had this moment where, a bit like Superman turning the world back, when
I know
when she gets trapped in the car.
Yeah,
Lois
Lane's trapped. Yeah, dying. Yeah,
and there's a kind of reversal, but not quite a reversal, more of a stitching.
Yeah,
so there's
I
think.
I mean, it could have started. It could have started to crack, and then she could have been going, "Oh, don't do it," and then and then it stops.
Yeah,
and you have some minor cracks that are potential portals or gateways.
And then they could have been happy, and we could have had some of that stuff at the end, rather than have the backdrop of disaster to their happiness, which doesn't work. And they could have had
weird.
Yeah, they could have a situation where she did save the day, and they think it has been done, and that he is potentially gone. But there is like the famous hole.
I kind of think they
town.
should have just. I think they should have just finished it. I think they should have just finished it.
No, I want another
finished
season.
it, and then did it in a year or two's time. They have a series which is set in the late 90s, you know, and suddenly 11 is now.
They are planning things like that. Actually,
11's now 25.
Oh, well, there's going to be spin-off stuff and everything.
There's
like
going to be loads of spin-off stuff.
Yeah,
you
there
know
will
what
be.
I think they should have done. I think they should have when 11 saved her.
Yeah.
They closed it back up.
Yeah.
And then, do you know, Will's like getting all these feelings. Maybe there's something. Maybe Will could have developed into a baddie or something.
Well, he is supposedly going to be the conduit for. This is one of the things I've heard.
Yeah,
that Will could be a conduit for Vecna in the future.
Right.
Now, that would have been fine because he was taken, wasn't he, in the first one?
Yeah.
And that could have been a good link that actually there was still a part of Vecna inside him, you know, or something.
And at the end of season 1, were those slugs coming out of him or something? And they never really explained that in the end.
No.
Nothing came of that.
No.
And I think that his presence has always been somewhat questioned because he spent so much time under the influence of Vecna.
And uncomfortable. They're not as comfortable with him. He feels a bit left out, doesn't he? He's always looking upon 11 and their friendships.
He's definitely a character that could get killed, isn't he?
Yeah. I've thought that many times.
You took that a bit seriously. I was just joking.
No, I thought that many times.
It's so awkward. And I wish they'd get rid of that fringe. It's so annoying. I do love the outfits they wear, though.
Oh, I love the setting. I just love watching it because it's that wonderful 80s setting that they've maintained so well. And
they have.
I just love being there with them, which is part of the reason why I want another season 5.
Yeah,
I think I kind of this sort of TV is so good. We don't get enough of it.
I think the thing we've got to remember, I know that last half an hour was, we were all disappointed with, but the rest of the series has been really great, hasn't it?
It has.
Yeah.
When you compare it to some of the other series that we've been looking at and we've been talking about.
God.
Whoa.
It's amazing.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we can't sort of let that destroy it for us because it has been a good series, and we've got to be appreciative of the good series when they turn up, haven't we, really?
Yeah.
Definitely.
I think the character wise, I really enjoyed. I think Robin was a good sort of development of her character. Great. I think that's been good.
Kind of she fell away a bit towards the end, didn't she?
Yeah.
But,
a little bit. They gave us some more stuff at the beginning, but then they've got 20 characters. It's a big cast.
They do well.
Dustin's always good. I think he's always a good character. Murray was brilliant in this series.
Yeah. Murray was excellent.
Really,
when he did the karate.
The karate thing on the plane was fantastic, wasn't it? It was really funny. And he just keeps coming out. He knows Russian. He was talking Russian to the people. He was doing all these.
He was really handy, actually.
The flamethrower bit, I just Murray, saves the day.
So so who on reflection would be your favorite character if you can give a favorite character in the show?
I really enjoy it. Murray's been my favorite character this series. He's been really good. Just the bits he's been in, he's really lifted it and given it some comedy, but also it just done some really great things, And then I like Max. I think Max is a good character. I quite like the actress. She's played it quite well. On the reverse side,
Sarah. How about Sarah?
Positive.
What was your favorite character?
I find it really difficult just to choose one. I've really enjoyed Steve and Robin's relationship. They've always had jobs together, and they're in one.
They're a good little partnership, aren't they?
Yeah, and I
felt Steve was underutilized.
Yes, he was a bit.
I thought Steve was underutilized.
Yeah, I thought they could have used him more because he is funny, and I love.
He's a great actor
with Dustin as well.
Yeah,
I really like the way Dustin kind of idolized him, and he didn't even realize that he just saw it as babysitting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I thought he was excellent. I really liked Max as well. I thought Max excellent in this season.
Yeah.
I didn't think 11 was as good.
Yeah. Should I? I'll give you mine, and then we'll do our least favorite, shall we?
Okay.
Yeah.
My favorite character was Max.
Yeah.
I thought it's a shame she stepped back a little bit, but it was right to pick her for the target, the climax, the target. I think she was brilliant, and some really deep stuff going on there. I really like Murray as well, Greg.
Yeah, I think Murray was brilliant.
I thought he was so good. Yeah, I thought he was brilliant. Yeah,
it was great. And the guy was cast really well for that part, wasn't he? He was. In the previous series, he was okay, but in this one, he's really.
It's terrible. I can't really remember him in the last season.
He was a sort of conspiracy theorist, wasn't he? That they went.
He was, and he was quite fun in that as well. Actually, I thought
it was quite fun. Yeah.
I want to really watch the whole series. I think
I'm going to give myself a little bit of a break, but I'm looking forward to watching it all again at some point. And so for your least favorite character, let's take Will out of this, because I think we all. I mean, I thought
he just doesn't have much to do either, does he?
No.
I don't think he has much to do. He's a bit of a whingy character. You know, I'm not that bothered about him.
No. How about any other key characters you didn't think worked?
Well, Jonathan.
Jonathan's a bit weak. Not as bothered about him. He doesn't feel like
my least favorite character. Yeah, go on.
Role. He doesn't feel like he's got a role, really, Jonathan. He's just there to sort of, I'll be your big brother if you need me, sort of thing.
And 11, I didn't think 11 was as good.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think 11's character was potentially the weakest.
I feel like she's got to this point where she's become super famous.
Yeah.
And I almost think, I don't know whether she comes across a little bit arrogant with it.
She does. I think, unfortunately, the media does portray her a bit like that, don't they? But this is a shame. But I just think that her role in this was a bit retrograde. I don't think she had anything to really move forward with in it, apart from some of the conclusions towards the end. I didn't feel like a character developed.
There's no growth.
No.
And it's always she's always doing the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, and to me, like we said it before, didn't we, in our previous thing, and we hope it's not going to just be her at the end going like that. I think they could have come up with a way of her powers developing somehow, you know.
Definitely.
You know, perhaps she could have grabbed one of the tentacles and kind of linked with it and beaten him inside somehow, you know,
or even better, have her own appendages.
She sends out some tentacles.
She sends out something that's different. Some maybe light tentacles that she sends out
and cancels out
the black goo.
You know,
good.
That's the thing. They didn't really advance her character very much, you know. No. And she was bullied and a little bit put down, wasn't she? So she was a bit of a, you know, more negative side of her, really.
Yeah. But no, I mean that's
sorry, just to say, I thought there was slight miscontinuity with her character as well, because obviously when they first discover her in season 1, she hasn't got any social skills.
Yeah.
And yet at times she's trying to act like she's still like that, and then times she's acting like she's not like that. And it's a bit of miscontinuity.
Yeah. Agreed.
It's tricky.
But I mean, it's really difficult when we pick these characters out. It's not like they're really bad or anything. That's the beauty of this. That's why looking at the bad characters really does highlight the fact that the show was really great and it's so rich. And rarely do you see a show that has 4 storylines running side by side, and you could bring them all together at the end. Is a really tough thing to do. But it was a roller coaster ride, and I just thoroughly enjoyed it. You know, enjoyed it.
They're definitely very good storytellers, aren't they?
Yeah.
The people producing it.
Absolutely. They understand they want to get to know the characters, you know, and that's a great thing, and with a great setting as well.
So one person that we didn't talk about was Dimitri, and that was the Russian guard, and I actually think he was really good as well.
Yes.
He was.
He didn't have as much to do in the last 2 episodes, but he was excellent throughout it. So I really thought he was a good new character, and he was also in Game of Thrones, and he was really good in that.
That's very true.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
He's a good actor.
Well, for me, there was one other person that we didn't sort of talk about very much, and that was Kate Bush. She really made the program what it was.
Yeah.
Well, you got to choose the music in the first place, so there's definitely creative direction there, which is definitely very good.
Yeah.
Well, no, the other one was the new character, wasn't it? It was Argyle, the guy that was the pizza guy, you know, and he was quite good fun at points, you know, different approach, different sort of character. But yeah, what about so let me ask you a silly question. Would you recommend this to anybody else to watch?
Let me think
Sometimes
about that
we're a bit
one.
Like, you know, on the Obi-Wan, we were like, do we recommend it?
Apparently the last episode of Obi-Wan was good, though.
No.
It was okay.
Good is a very heavy word to use.
Anyway, yes, obviously we would definitely recommend it, and I would actually go as far as to rate it 10 out of 10 this season.
Hang on now. Even
with
the last
half
an hour, you still give it 10 out of 10.
I think, I think, I mean, I don't think I've ever rated anything 10 out of 10. I think I'd give this 9 out of 10.
9.995.
One other thing. There's one other thing that I would give 10 out of 10.
What's that?
It's not sci-fi or anything like that, so I don't know if I'm allowed to mention it.
I'm not 50 Shades of Grey.
No, Better Call Saul.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, I haven't watched it yet.
No, I haven't actually. That's one I need to catch up on.
It is brilliant. But anyway, yes. So I'm giving it 10 out of 10.
Yeah,
good.
No. I'm pretty much up there. It's a 9.5 for me. I was, if you remember, a few weeks
a bit skeptical.
Back, I was a bit skeptical.
Yeah.
You know? Partly because
I'm surprised
so many decent shows be ruined in the last couple of years. You know, so that's why I was skeptical. And it's also nice when you go into something a bit skeptical, when it's good, you're then like, oh, thank God it's good. You know what I mean? So it's been nice to really enjoy something. The only thing I worry about is it becoming too similar, you know, to the same. It wasn't this series. I think they did this series really well. You know, this was better than the last 2 series. But if it's just going to be the same stuff in the 5th series, they've got to be careful. They've got to come up with some other ideas, you know.
5th will be the last, I reckon. Then they'll have spin-offs.
It definitely is. There's been like an open letter from the creators saying that this is the last season. Yeah,
and that would make sense. I think you can't keep making. You're just going to wear it out, and you're going to.
We can't keep seeing 11 in her
wig.
Well, in that place, the where she gets raised. What's that place?
That
white tiled hospital.
They need to get away from that somehow. They need to have a little bit of something different, but still within the same theme. I think
they should do another series, but then maybe do another series where they're maybe all 50. That would be interesting.
Exactly. I thought they should do one.
There'll be spin-offs for sure.
There will be. Absolutely.
They're already talking about it.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. That's good.
Brilliant.
Yeah, Will's going to get his own show. They're going to do 20 episodes just about Will.
It's actually called Will and Mike. Right. Good stuff.
Thanks very much for joining us tonight. If you like what we're saying, obviously press the like button and subscribe. Also, if you've got any comments, add your comments. If you feel the same about Will, or if you feel the same about 11, let us know. Otherwise, thanks for listening to us, and we'll see you again soon.